panels, just like what the government whip say that the opening debate is done. Because opening debate, both opening government and opening opposition only talk about whether or not Catholic teach or should be like this or like this. But under closing government, under closing opposition, we will extend this debate into the practicality why tangible harm will happen in the Catholic Church. But more importantly, what makes closing opposition exclusive from opening opposition is because opening opposition only say that Catholic Church is not political party, it's really bad. But under closing opposition, we would like to telling you that this kind of thing is a bad political movement for Catholic Church to begin with. First of all, several problems come from the case of the government side of this house. And when I give POI to the Prime Minister and asking about how much referendum they want to do, they said that they want to do multiple times. It's a perfect opening question for their side of the house. Because they never tell you what kind of parameter that they want to use in this debate. How big the case, for example, how bad the existence or how bad the abuse does this kind of quote happen. Without this parameter, we cannot ensure what kind of issue that will be raised in this debate, ladies and gentlemen. Meaning that we can ensure if a single a little problem could be blow up into something that referendum should exist, ladies and gentlemen. We think that it's not gonna happen. But more importantly, the mechanism coming from the member of government, we think it's very late. Second of all, it's a problematic mechanism, ladies and gentlemen, because they want to say they want to use any kind of online thing, so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, we think that online is something that's very vulnerable, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that crazy people or shame people exist in the online world, then the question becomes why they trust these people more compared to these people in the conclave, ladies and gentlemen. Let me teach you how Catholic Church works, ladies and gentlemen. All of these people in the conclave, all of these cardinals is a representative of each country, ladies and gentlemen. Meaning that they're bringing the idea of what countries really need. They represent the follower all over the world, ladies and gentlemen. Meaning that the capability to actually choose the Pope is actually on the hand of this kind of people. But this debate is not talking about whether or not it should be chosen by the conclave, because the current status quo, they still choose by the conclave. But the question becomes why the capability of this kind of people to actually put down Pope is exists, never been explained by the both sides of the government side of the house. But second of all, there's a clashing characteristic coming from the deputy prime minister that say that this kind of people do not have check and balance. That's why they need to do this kind of thing. The question becomes, if the people do not have the check and balance, then they why have the capability to put down the Pope, ladies and gentlemen? We don't think so. But more importantly, in my case, I would like to extend to you, if they want to talk about discussion and having a better Catholic Church, we believe it's going to be better on their side of the house. And last but not least, that we would like to prove to you how minority is still important in this debate. First of all, the talking about discussion, we believe the discussion is more likely to happen under our side of the house. Why? Because the idea on things that triggering you to actually find out the value of something is when you have a limitation, ladies and gentlemen. For example, you find out education because you have a limited knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. Meaning that if they say that these kind of people already have so much bargaining power, meaning that they don't need to find the value of this kind of Pope. The thing is, discussion will never happen, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because when they realize they have a really big bargaining power, meaning that they will only have just able to justify themselves to always put down the Pope, ladies and gentlemen. And we think that this is not strategic for the Catholic Church, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because it will split your followers into two, ladies and gentlemen, the one with the A value and the one with the B value. What will happen if your Catholic Church been split, meaning that there is no value that you as a Catholic Church need to uphold? Because we believe as a church, you should have one single value. They need to be followed, ladies and gentlemen. We think that under their side of the house, the solitude of the Catholic Church and solitude of the teaching will be destroyed, ladies and gentlemen, never be engaged by the both sides of the government side of the house. But more importantly, let's talk about the idea of favoring majority sons. So before I continue, yes.
You mentioned that there will be two sides and we will lose both of them. The thing here is that we at the opening already mentioned that we're going to cater both of them like before, making it neutral, and we have the justification of our decision.
The question becomes, if they say that they want to stay neutral, then they will be left out in this debate, ladies and gentlemen. Because in this debate, we're only talking about whether or not majority or minority need to be catered in this debate, ladies and gentlemen. But let's talk about why you should not favor the majority. The premises and the parameter of the government, closing government, say that it is because they have utility and they have more contribution toward the church. The question becomes, this kind of majority already have a bargaining power in the status quo in the real life, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that this majority also have more contribution means that they've been favored by the government, ladies and gentlemen. We think that religion should not follow this type of government to follow and favor this majority, ladies and gentlemen, because the function of you as a religion and as a church is the same space that you as a minority come and say that I am accepted in this community, ladies and gentlemen. If they say that you can go to another community such as gay community, so on and so forth, we think that it's not feasible, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that this kind of movement is really small, the fact that this kind of movement will have a really small influence over the society, we think that it's not a tangible protection for you, so on and so forth, ladies and gentlemen. So we think that under our side of the house, if they say that this kind of majority should be favored, we think that with or without this scenario, they will favor the Pope, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that the legitimacy of Pope, for example, the legitimacy of magisterium to actually interpret the Bible once is proof to you that they have a legitimate power to not favor this majority. Whether they want it or not, the majority will follow you. Under the side of the house, the majority will have more bargaining power to actually do everything that they want, ladies and gentlemen. Shows to you that this kind of religion, this kind of people will always impose the idea of political idea. For example, the Pope power and legitimacy of the Pope is being threatened, feel as a threat to another country, for example, because they believe that Pope have so much power, ladies and gentlemen. Prove to you that this kind of externality could impose this idea to actually topple down the Pope, ladies and gentlemen. We think that this is a very bad strategy. But one thing, and argument coming from Ahmad Kushay that never been rebutted by their side of the house, is how it's going to this kind of Catholic Church will be attacked, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because the reason why Christian and Protestant people separate from Catholic, because they do not believe in the legitimacy of the Catholic Church. The fact in Kurun status quo, there's so much discussion is actually Catholic and the Protestant people tackle one and each other, ladies and gentlemen, to prove themselves one and each other. Under the side of the house, there will be a legitimate way for this other religion to attack and more question the legitimacy of the Pope, ladies and gentlemen. What will happen? It's not going to be strategic, because in the religion, you're not only talking about your followers, but you're also talking about the sustainability of your church, sustainability of your faith, sustainability of your lesson, ladies and gentlemen. Under the side of the house, this kind of thing will never happen. That's why we're proud to close